Most people believe that becoming a millionaire is the moment everything finally clicks. That once you reach that number, stress disappears, freedom increases, and life becomes simpler. But what most people don't realize is that money doesn't remove pressure. It changes the type of pressure you live with. And the way people respond to that pressure is what creates two very different types of millionaires. One type builds quiet, long-term stability. The other builds visible success that looks impressive on the outside, but is often fragile underneath. Understanding the difference between these two paths explains why some wealthy people stay wealthy for decades, while others quietly lose it even after making it. Let's start with the version most people recognize and admire, the flashy millionaire. This is the image most people imagine when they think about wealth. Luxury cars, designer clothes, expensive watches, big houses, and a lifestyle that signals success instantly. And it's important to say this clearly. This person is not lazy, foolish, or irresponsible by default. Many flashy millionaires worked incredibly hard to get where they are. For someone who grew up with very little visible success feels like proof that the struggle was worth it. Spending becomes emotional. It represents safety, validation, and achievement all at once. When someone finally escapes financial insecurity, it makes sense that they want to enjoy it while they can because deep down there's often a fear that it could disappear just as quickly as it arrived. Think about athletes, entertainers, influencers, or entrepreneurs who suddenly go from earning almost nothing to making millions. Someone like Floyd Mayweather is a perfect example. He earned hundreds of millions of dollars through discipline, talent, and relentless work. His lifestyle was extremely visible. Private jets, luxury cars, stacks of cash, designer clothes. And contrary to what people assume, that behavior didn't come from ignorance. It came from certainty that he earned it, and from a mindset shaped by scarcity. When you grow up without money, wealth feels temporary. So spending becomes a way to secure happiness in the present. The problem begins when that lifestyle turns into a fixed structure instead of a flexible choice. Once your spending upgrades publicly, it becomes very difficult to downgrade privately. The house doesn't care if your income fluctuates. The car payment doesn't pause when business slows down. The lifestyle keeps demanding the same level of cash flow every single month. And now, money is no longer about freedom. It's about maintenance. The pressure shifts from earning money to constantly protecting the image that money created. This is where stress often increases, not decreases. The wealth is real, but the margin is gone. And when margin disappears, anxiety replaces it. Now let's look at the other type of millionaire, the one most people overlook. The quiet millionaire. The person you wouldn't notice in a room. Someone like Steve Jobs. Jobs was one of the most influential and wealthy individuals in modern history, yet he famously wore the same black turtleneck, jeans, and sneakers almost every day. This wasn't a fashion statement. It was a cognitive strategy. Jobs believed that every unnecessary decision drained mental energy. By simplifying his appearance, he preserved focus for what actually mattered. His wealth wasn't meant to be displayed. It was meant to support clarity and control. Another example is Warren Buffett, a billionaire for decades, yet still living in a modest house he bought long before his fortune reached its peak. He drives simple cars, eats at familiar restaurants, and avoids luxury for luxury's sake. Buffett didn't become wealthy by chasing appearances. He became wealthy by compounding consistent, rational decisions over time. His lifestyle reflects confidence, not deprivation. Quiet millionaires like Buffett understand something most people miss. Money is leverage, not identity. The moment money becomes your identity, you're forced to defend it constantly, and that defense becomes exhausting. There's also a responsibility side of wealth that rarely gets talked about. When you become successful, people begin to depend on you. Family members, partners, children, employees. Suddenly your income affects more than just your own comfort. Stability becomes a responsibility, not a luxury. And this pressure fundamentally changes how smart people behave. Quiet millionaires don't avoid spending because they're afraid to enjoy life. They avoid excess because they understand how fragile stability can become once obligations grow. They want margin. Margin means savings, flexibility, options, and time. Flashy spending reduces margin. Quiet spending protects it. This difference becomes especially clear when life becomes unpredictable. Economic downturns, business cycles, health issues, market crashes. These events don't announce themselves in advance. The person with a modest lifestyle and strong systems feels pressure, but remains flexible. The person with a high-maintenance lifestyle feels trapped, not because they lack income, but because their expenses have no room to breathe. This is why you see people earning massive salaries who feel stuck, and others earning far less who feel free. The difference is not income, it's fragility. Another major difference between these two types of wealth is how decisions are made. Flashy wealth often reacts to emotion, excitement, validation, fear of missing out, or the desire to be seen as successful. Quiet wealth responds to systems, budgeting, long-term planning, risk management, and patience. One path prioritizes visibility. The other prioritizes sustainability. Neither is inherently evil or virtuous, but they lead to very different outcomes over time. It's also important to acknowledge that for some people, flashy wealth represents a lifelong dream. They imagined the car, the house, the clothes long before they imagined stability. And that dream matters. Enjoying the rewards of hard work isn't wrong. The issue isn't spending, it's anchoring identity to spending. When happiness depends on maintaining an image, wealth becomes a burden. More money brings more problems not because money is bad, but because expectations scale faster than peace. The quiet millionaire understands this early. They don't chase admiration. They chase independence. They design lives that require less explanation and fewer defenses. They don't need to prove success because they feel it internally. And because of that, they tend to keep it. Not because they're smarter, but because they're playing a different game. One is playing the status game, where there's always someone richer and something better to buy. The other is playing the freedom game, where the goal is control over time, stress, and choices. This is why so many people who made it still feel anxious. They won financially but lost psychologically. And it's why many people who look ordinary on the outside are quietly winning the only game that really matters. So the real question isn't whether you want to be rich. It's what kind of rich you want to be. If you became a millionaire tomorrow, would you build a life that looks successful to others, or one that actually feels secure to you? Because those two paths are very different, and only one of them lasts.